welcome to Sip No Tech. I'm Alex. How you doing? We have another Xiaomi phone to unbox, and if we know anything about Xiaomi devices from past experiences, we know this phone's going to give us a lot of value for what we paid for. We're talking about the Redmi K20 or the Xiaomi Mi 9T. That's very confusing. There's two names for it. The global market, it's called the Mi 9T. It has nothing to do with the Mi 9 that came out, the flagship phone that came out a couple months ago. And it also has nothing really to do with the Redmi line, because if you remember correctly, the Redmi line kind of split off from Xiaomi's Mi brand. They kind of want to be a different kind of branding for the subsidiary, just like Huawei and Honor does their thing. Xiaomi kind of wanted to do that for their phones here. So very confusing with this naming scheme, but this is the Mi 9T, so we'll call it the Mi 9T since we are in the global market. At least this channel reviews phones in the global market. Alrighty, let's take a look at the box art, and as you can see from its illustration, we have a very nice, almost near bezel-less display, and that's made thanks to that pop-up camera. So they really want to highlight that this is a pop-up camera that frees up a lot of the real estate that you usually only got on the Mi Mixes. And so this phone is really cheap. It's in the 300 ranges. We'll look at the specs really quickly. It uses a Snapdragon 730, so it is a mid-range processor. It's still better than the 710 a little bit. And this model has 6 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage. Let's get this baby open. Ooh, okay, this thing was rough to open. I gotta say, it was tight in there. So we have a SIM tray remover, and then in here we also have the standard paperwork from Xiaomi. It's in English if you're worried about that. And there is a soft touch plastic case. I like it. It's a clip-on case. And then we have the phone. So the phone we got is in this blue color, and oh my goodness, it looks like one of a kind. It is a kind of blue-black hybrid with this gradient feel. It looks like a marble. It looks like a marble. I really have not seen a phone like this ever. At least I've never owned one that reflected like this. It's glass, but it doesn't feel like the high quality glass that you get on like the Samsung phones. But it's nice and smooth, and there's rounded edges and on the curves, and you do see a dual tone, interesting design choice there. It's a red power button on top of the volume rockers, so it is a contrasted power button, which I kind of dig, but it's kind of unnecessary. But the whole back, the beautiful back, will be covered with that case. Now, booting up the phone, let's take a look at the rest of the stuff in the box. We have a European charger and also a USB-C to USB-A cable, but that's okay. We have a bunch of power bricks laying around that we can use to charge this phone. And the other cool feature about this is there is a on-screen fingerprint scanner. So we rarely see that in the lower price points, and we have that here. So that's the same type of thing you have on the Samsung Galaxy S10. Alright, from trying this out, it does seem like the fingerprint scanner works relatively well. You have to get it in the right spot. I'll have a full review of it to see if it works out in daily usage, but so far, at least it seems like it's working. Now, MIUI. Okay, so MIUI has gone through kind of like a revelation. This is the default screen here. We have a search bar, but at the same time, on the bottom, since there's no app drawer, when you swipe up, it also takes you to search, so it's kind of redundant. You have two search bars there. If you swipe to the left, you get, in place of the Google Now cards, you have Xiaomi's own kind of like home screen with recent apps, all the stuff. A lot of OEMs like to do that with their own skin. Okay, you can also use gesture control, kind of like when you get on iOS. So instead of relying on the back recent apps and home button, you can swipe to the left of the screen to go back. You can swipe to the right of the screen to go to your recent apps. You can swipe up for your home menu. You can do all of that good stuff, and it takes a little bit of time to get used to. I tried it. I do like it, but I will be using this phone with the recent apps, home button, and the back button specifically. Now let's take a look at the bloatware on this phone. So it is a Xiaomi phone, and of course it is running MIUI. So we do have a lot of stuff from Xiaomi, like their own browser, which isn't the worst thing in the world. I prefer to use Chrome, but the Mi browser is satisfactory. You can't delete it, so it's stuck on your phone, just like all the other Xiaomi apps. You do have the Google Suite, you don't have to worry about that. We have a security app It's pretty aggressive. You have to kind of tinker with the settings if you don't like being bothered by the phone a lot. And of course, you can see all these tool things like the Mi Drop and the scanner. You can't delete any of these. They're pre-installed FM radio, very standard Xiaomi things, other than the Android 1 edition Xiaomi phones. You're going to get this with MIUI. And of course, no app dock, so we have no app drawer, sorry. So we have all the apps on the screen like you would have on iOS. Of course, you have more apps right there. As you can see, these are my apps that I'm downloading right now through my phone, but there are already pre-installed apps on this particular phone. Lastly, there is a theme store. Like all the Xiaomi phones, like Samsung phones, there are theme shops, theme things that you can download to change your icon layout and how it feels. Now, looking at this particular phone, the first thing you'll notice on the back, other than the glass, is the triple cameras. So these cameras are pretty darn interesting, especially for this price point. We have a 48 megapixel f1.8, which is the wide lens, and 8 megapixel f2.4, which is a telephoto lens, and we also have an ultra wide lens, which is a 13 megapixel f2.4 lens. So we have a triple lens setup on this around $300 something phone. That is pretty darn impressive for Xiaomi to throw all of that stuff in on there. In that 48 megapixel mode, yeah, you're gonna see in my full review, I'm gonna have a bunch of photos testing this camera out, and boy, it's just pretty amazing that there's a 48 megapixel camera on this phone. Of course, megapixels don't mean everything. Sensors are very important in multiple aspects, but one other cool thing about this camera is the selfie camera. It's the pop-up camera. This is my first phone with a mechanical pop-up camera, as you can see there. So every time you switch to the selfie mode, the front camera, it automatically comes up. Every time you press the home button or you go back, anytime it's not needed, it goes straight back down. So far, it looks pretty nice. It looks pretty cool working like that. In terms of the camera app, we do have a very simple camera setup layout for this app. I do like it, so that's points for me. I am looking forward to using this in my full review, so be sure to come back for that. And let's finish up with the rest of the phone in terms of how it feels and looks. This is a pretty large phone. Its display is 6.39 inches, so it is rather large. With the case covered, it should help with the grip a little bit. On the top of the phone, we do have a headphone jack, which we lose in a lot of upper level phones. And then, that, of course, right there next to the headphone jack is where the mechanical camera comes out. And then on the other side, we have nothing, followed by the bottom of the phone where we have the speaker, a USB-C port, and where you have the dual SIM trays. So the screen itself is a 1080p screen. It looks rather solid. The PPI count is not that high. It's 403, so it was good flagship stuff a few years back. But in today's modern standards, the PPI count isn't that high. It still looks rather solid. I do think this phone looks really promising right now. In an overall productive type of phone, if you're looking for a budget phone in the 300s without too much compromises, this looks pretty good so far. But once again, be sure to come back for our full review because I'm going to have a lot of thoughts on this phone. You're going to learn a lot about it. And yeah, we're going to play with the screen a lot. I'm Alex with Hypno Tech, and I'll see you guys very soon.
And that's it. Be sure to subscribe here. Hit the bell button so you don't miss any of our videos. And check out our other videos right here. Until next time,